In the beginning, when God created the trio base, the wipe was a formless void and darkness covered the face of the deep, while a wind from God swept over the face of the waters. Then God said, "Let there be hexagon core," and there was hexagon core. And God saw that the core was good. And God added a second floor, with a great many boxes worth of storage. And God said, "Let there be an entrance floor, with more large loot rooms and convenient furnace space for dropping off your farm right as you enter the base, including a trapped entrance chute full of quick storage boxes." And there was evening, and there was morning, the first day. And God said, "Let there be external TCs for expansion and grief protection." And it was so. So God made the wall stack, separating the TC within from the TCs without, and it was honeycombed for a total of 4 walls to core with an additional 36 rockets worth of grief protection. And God said, "Let there be 4 bunkers, 3 for build mats and kits for a building after a partial raid, and 1 additional bunker for electric systems." And it was so. God called the main base the core, and the wall-stacked modules that were gathered together he called widegap shooting floors. And God saw that it was good. Then he said, "Let the Widegaps put forth raid defense bedrooms, with lockers yielding full kits, turrets, and perfect peaks to control the shooting floor and roof." And it was so. And the base was, amazingly, a ridiculously cheap 9k metal and 70 HQM per day for a large, mean-looking 80 rocket raid base, approximately. Perfect for a dedicated trio or quad. And God saw that it was good. Hello! So I designed this base to fill the spot between my absolute budget trio base at about 4.7 frags per day and my medium group base at 17k frags. And I think it perfectly meets the requirements of a dedicated trio. What you get for roughly 9k frags and 70 HQM per day here is pretty much unmatched by any base I've seen. And this is how you'll build it next wipe. We shall begin the build with a triangular TC compartment. Then a hexagon of foundations, adding triangles here behind the TC, as well as here and here, forming a large triangle that you'll close in with walls. When adding ceilings, start from the outside triangles and make sure to place the hexagon triangles from the outside in, so as to avoid the bane of your existence, the triangle splash bug. But leave an opening here, across the wall from the TC, where you'll use a furnace or a temporary shelf to jump up, before closing it off with a basic roof exit, never forgetting the half-high shelf in the middle. By the way, the reason for this orientation of the door is that if you have any traps below, they're impossible to see and thus more effective. Before the next step, I suggest to gather some frags to upgrade this triangle, the one directly behind the TC. Though it's not a big deal if you don't. Then you'll encase your big triangle with lots of little triangles and build up 1 level of stone walls. Next, up here, to the right of the chute, make your first loot room, diligently placing triangles in the right orientation. This applies also to the shelves, which you have to do this way. I mean, don't blame me, take this one up with the face punch and their haphazard approach to model colliders. Ultimately, you'll want to close the loot room with a window, but delay that until you can upgrade the loot room floors. So to the right, a convenient compartment for the workbench, which, by the way, when you get to tier 3, you can hide a stealth box behind there. Then, to the right, another loot room. Again, remember not to close this yet. A jump up. And a third loot room, for a total of 18 large boxes and 6 small ones on this second floor. And after adding frames in the central hexagon, honeycombing the downward chute, closing in the ceilings with proper alignment, and adding a roof exit, your base should look like this. And for the time being, the cheapest and easiest way to get in and out will be a single wood foundation and 2 wooden roof pieces. And now we do the third floor. To the left of the chute, add a wall, and beyond that, an airlock made of 2 single doors. Now these two triangles can be populated with furnaces, which is very convenient to have close to the entrance. And to the left, another large loot room. It's actually fine to close this one because we won't be upgrading the shelves. Then to the left, a third furnace room. And one final loot room on this floor. It's a pretty simple build so far. Alright, so just behind the airlock we'll prepare for a jump up to the shooting floor and close it in. And with the roof exit added, your base will now look like this, at the cost of a measly 31 stone nodes. Now to finish our stony starter, we'll claim some space by using detachable external TCs, also giving us some grief protection. From each flat side of the base, build out 2 squares, or we already have one here, but I'll build from this part to demonstrate. So 2 squares, and follow with 2 triangles and another square. Build towards the base with triangles, and upgrade this whole Pac-Man shape to stone. Now from the square, build out 3 more twig squares, and cap them off with a very basic disconnectable TC compartment. For the magic to work, you'll need to build 2 half walls facing the main base instead of a full wall. When done, connect the TC to the triangle foundations like so. The point being, if your main base gets raided and the TC removed, you can disconnect these TCs by building a twig roof here, allowing you to replace the main TC before reconnecting the external ones. This only works because of the 2 half walls. Rust is funny. Also add a stone triangle here. This can become a truly evil turret pod later on, guarding your front entrance while the chainlink fence protects the foundation from soft siding. And each of these disconnectable TC mechanisms costs a whopping 3 stone nodes, and 50 frags for the window, but really. This should all be very easy to accomplish on wipe day, and in fact I think you could do a lot more. I believe in you. But for the purpose of formatting the video, this is stage 1 done. And in phase 2 of the build, we'll drag ourselves kicking and screaming out of the Stone Age. By now you probably got some loot, some metal cooking, so starting in the first level core, you want to upgrade these outside triangles before closing them in. This is because they cannot be upgraded from the outside. And we are now left with a perfect hexagon core. Then, upgrade the entire TC compartment to HQM, as well as all the ceilings, sheet metal all foundations and the walls. The walls you will gradually upgrade as HQM becomes available. Next, add a double shelf in front of the TC, add frames, garage doors, boxes, and up we go to the second floor. Now, the second floor is easy. Upgrade the central hexagon ceiling and the inner chute wall to HQM. Then upgrade everything to metal. Well, except this, and these, and add garage doors. Optional but smart is to upgrade the workbench foundation as well. And finally, close the loot rooms and up we go. So here just upgrade the chute and the wall to the left of it. Now I think 2 or 3 garage doors are enough on this floor, but go wild if you want to, and that's it for the inside. On the outside, make sure the whole roof is metal, as well as all foundations and the first 2 levels of walls. And as we're already in the vicinity, let's upgrade the entrance. Let's just get rid of this. I'm using an armored door here, use that when you have it. And close it all in. If you have a ladder, one will suffice for getting up into the base. You can then add multiple shelves for drop-off loot here. If you don't have a ladder yet, however, skip some of the shelves so you can use them as steps. Next, you'll match the bulbous side here with 2 more bulbous sides here and here, by adding 3 stone triangle foundations, 2 levels of wall with a vertical separator layer, and a 3rd level of stone walls. Here this is all empty honeycomb to allow for upgrades later, but if you want to, slap a door on it and use the space. It's up to you. And one last upgrade that fit in this stage would be the beginnings of a shooting floor. On the external TC foundations, add 3 levels of stone frames here. And on top, a simple 5 triangle platform. Sure, it's not much, but it's cheap, and better than just a roof. The frame here are doing only one of them, in preparation for the roof exit. And that should be enough for this stage. And if you wanted to, you could now close these sides, honeycomb them, and have a clean, simple base. But that's not why you're here. So let's go on to stage 3 and make something truly magical. This next step is a bit complex. We're going to double stack 3 sides of the base, so follow closely. On these jagged sides of the base, add a twig triangle followed by 8 squares. Destroy all but the 8th and build back towards the base with triangles. Continue until you have this triangle facing out again. From it, build out 2 squares, a half circle of triangles, another square, and finally a metal triangle on which our 8 rocket detachable TC will stand. Same trick as before, 2 half walls here. And with the TC done, go ahead and upgrade this triangle, the one pointing towards the TC, and connect it back with frames, like so. And do this on all 3 sides. Next, if you don't have these twigs, rebuild them, and make sure to have this neat line of 5 wall-stacked triangles. Now, build 3 levels of metal walls right against the base. Then honeycomb with stone. Now, since all this wall stacking generates a weakness on the corners here where the conditional wall sides misbehave, add 3 levels of stone frames to pretty much seal the gap. And most importantly, for this not to decay, connect it back to the external TC. Lastly, close in the ceilings like so, and add these floating stone triangles on the frames. With the base now honeycombed on all 3 sides, we continue to the shooting floor. From this metal triangle, build out triangle foundations like so. When you have this configuration of foundations down, add 3 levels of frames. The metal ones actually suffice, the stone ones are for a bit of redundancy. Now, up top, we start with a basic windowed shooting floor. On the right, we'll have a little protected compartment for the roof peak. And on the left, add this frame for support. Now we'll go up and build the bedroom. I went for no windows here to make the lockers and respawns more secure, but shuttered windows could possibly work too. And this compartment here is perfect for a turret. Protected by a chainlink fence, it's impervious to all harm and can be maintained or replaced from inside the bedroom. And that is stage 3 done. Seriously though, just looking at the magnitude of this, does it look like a budget 9K metal upkeep base? Insane, right? And we're not done yet. Ready to continue? Okay, let's add 4 floating bunkers to the base. Looking at these metal triangles here, go forth and set up a bunker compartment. Inside on the left, a doorway for a vending machine. Don't omit this, it's part of the inner honeycomb of the bunker. And on the right, a shelf for some loot storage, and a metal frame which has to be rotated to get these conditional side shapes. Now we can close the bunker with the wall and add another one to the left. To open it, build a twig roof here, which you will never upgrade. With this done on all 3 sides, you will notice this has created a central chamber for us around the central jump up. In these little compartments, we'll set up 4 rockets and lootable lockers. A horizontal embrasure and a code lock will do that for you. Then add an airlock here using 2 single doors. With the chamber itself you can do whatever you want. Beds maybe. But I'd suggest adding these doors to buffer rocket splash for the bunkers. Now we have this little space to fill, and that's going to be a fourth bunker. Here you can put some of your electrical systems. That's my preference, but you do you. We're almost done. Now it's time to cover this whole floor up. First do the central circle, and make sure nothing is attached to the outside bunker walls. There should be a gap here, see? Now lower the bunker walls and the metal wall next to them, which will allow you to attach triangles to the core. Not to the bunker wall itself, which will void the bunker mechanism, but to the inside triangle. Next, add 6 frames here, built on the core foundations, angling towards the simpler wide gaps, and complete the roof. Lastly, some final touches. Slanted roof pieces, a roof exit or two, a minicopter garage, maybe a friendly neighborhood SAM site, and we're done. Simple as. The trio heaven. For me, the best base for a dedicated trio or quad. It's creepily resilient and absurdly cheap for what you get. I think it clearly shows how much strength and functionality you can squeeze out of a tight budget if you make the effort. And I highly encourage you to make it your own. Modify, improve, use in the wipe, send me a picture, and I'll likely post it on the Hall of Fame section in my Discord. And as for now, have a great day, and blessed be.